So here we go. Another week with the 17 Club Men's Mastermind. Who would like to volunteer to read our purpose statement? Phil's going to read it. I'm going to share the screen, Phil, and she should be all yours.
The 17 Club. We forge a brotherhood where no man walks alone. No potential is wasted, and every man is challenged to discover his purpose, develop his gifts, and live a life of significance. Together, we unlock the man, unleash the mission, and change the world.
Unleash the mission and change the world. I love that. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. Let me see. I'm going to stop the share. I think I got somebody else trying to get in the room. Yeah, yep, we got a bunch of people there. Let's let them all in. Here they come. All right. All right. Awesome. Looks like we got a full house this morning. That's phenomenal. All right. So let's start off with victories. Emmanuel, how are you, my friend? Hey, guys, I just want to introduce you to my friend Emmanuel. He's coming to us from Concord, New Hampshire. Phil, not too far away from you, Mr. Conway. Mr. Conway's down in Boston. Are you in Boston, Phil, or what? North Andover?
Well, I'm in actually Topsfield, which is north of Boston.
Okay, Topsfield.
Concord, Manchester, not so far from me.
Not too far at all. Not too far at all. Hello, Luis. Good to see you, my friend. Michael's in the house. Looks like we got somebody dropping a chat here. All right, we're good. All right, so we are going to start off with victories. Who had a victory between this meeting and last meeting? Now, many of you weren't here last meeting, and yes, we did miss you, but I'm sure you still had an accomplishment over the last 7 days. So who's got a victory to share?
I can share one, Frank.
Go ahead, Rob.
So one victory, one big win. I had a grandbaby this weekend. My daughter was induced, and Israel is in the world now. Everything went well. She's healthy. The baby's healthy. So that was a good thing. I'm going to be visiting them in Michigan in August. But another big win was with my son. So my son's 10 years old. I live in Colorado, and the fireworks here are mostly just little stale ground fireworks, not like the ones we had when we were kids. Launch a bomb up into the sky and it just it blows up everywhere. So one of the memories that I created with my son was this weekend I had him, and we took a road trip. We took a 3 hour road trip down to New Mexico. We bought real fireworks, and then took a 3 hour road trip back, and it was great. I walked him in there. He saw all these fireworks. And what he did was, it's just that memory as a kid. I know he's going to take with him forever because his mom was not happy. Didn't really matter to me. We got him some fireworks that he really liked. We'll have to find a different place to light them off. But yeah, it was just one of those memories that I created with my son. He was happy the whole way, and no phone, no nothing. It's just me and him. So it was great.
That's awesome. That's a victory for sure. Whenever you can spend
Yeah,
that quality time. By the way, Gant, congratulations on the new grandchild. Luis, I
thank you.
think you just had a new grandchild as well, right?
Yep. Last 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Spring is in the air, brothers. Spring is in the air. Children are being born all over the place. Exactly.
Yeah.
Congratulations to
I'm
you
too old
guys.
to have kids, dude.
Yeah, me too. I had enough with two. It's all good. It's all good. All right. Who else has a victory they'd like to share this week? I'm sure we had more than just one.
Well, hold on. Michael, just for the record, technically, I am not a grandfather. It is my stepdaughter. However, I
Just
love them as they are mine.
just wear it with pride, Luis. You are a
I do. I
grandfather.
do. I
That's all
promise
there
you,
is
I
to
do.
it.
I do.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. All right. Anyone else? Victory. Victory. Come on. I had two victories this week. I'm going to share. So first victory, I clocked 153 pounds on the scale. I'm 3 pounds away from my goal of 150. I'm lean, mean, fighting machine. There we go. All right. And that was not only was it a good victory because it showed up not only one day but 2 days in a row. So that means we're there. All right. And the second one, I want to thank a mastermind conversation I had last week with a gentleman in the room, Michael Bridgman. Thank you, Michael, who asked me some very challenging questions and has actually launched me on a mission. I have 90 days to complete my creation of my 17 Club Men's Transformation Program. It's going to be a program that's going to launch on October 1st. And I didn't realize it till yesterday when I was talking with the rest of the coaches. Um, uh, October 1st, 1974 is the day I shipped off to Marine Corps boot camp. So that was the day I began my life as a Marine. And isn't it ironic that this mission, I just set this goal this past week, not even realizing that 90 days brings me to October 1st. And that makes sense in my mind. Maybe not in anyone else's mind, but it makes sense in my mind. So, two big wins there for me. I feel like I'm on a path, an even stronger path to success. Why? Because I have a definite major purpose, right? I've identified where I'm going. Luis, you got your hand up, my friend. Go for it.
Thank you, thank you. One of the greatest things I've ever done so far is I finished personally in the coaching area. I just finished a 6-month course with some, I don't know, 13, 14 people. And we just finished a couple of weeks ago. And tomorrow we kick off a 90-day program with these people, with just a quarter of them. But it's a more elite program. It's a higher program, fast-paced program, and 90 days to become a champion. And I'm gonna change their mindset. So that I'm very, very excited about it. Signed up some people for it. It's a premium package. It's a premium
Yeah, I love
program.
that.
So I'm just really happy about it. And on Friday, I was asked to speak about to a university to teach a webinar on sports, how sports psychologically impact the life of people. And it was pretty cool to interact with university level kids. When I got into their on the back end, and you can tell they're not used to stuff about the Zoom, and it was on StreamYard actually. I said, well, how like me, I was kind of like asking them, well, when are we going to start? I was going to ask the questions, where are we going to go? You like, what's the structure of the program? So I hope I brought a little bit of value on that for them, as be more prepared, or more than being prepared on what you just
Yeah.
said. Have a consistency and have something really well
Yeah,
going.
yeah,
That's
I
it.
love it. I love it, Luis. I can appreciate what you're saying too, because you know what, in line with the with having some type of structure, I've actually, and you'll witness some of it today in our session for the men's mastermind group, is having more of an agenda. What are we trying to accomplish, and having specific questions that are going to be asked to guide and direct the conversation. But I think too much structure can be a problem as well, right? Because we want enough freedom to be able to speak up and go off track. And that's what people do in normal conversations. Something triggers something else and you just have a normal conversation. So I noticed that we've got a few new folks in the room today. Zachary, I see you was invited. His dad sent me a message this morning, said, would you please add him? And he's here. So we got some young blood in the room. Good to see you, Zachary. Welcome. And let's see. My friend Stefano is from Italy. He's not on camera. He's probably working. He works for the United States Air Force in Italy. He's also a Phase 1 certified coach with the Napoleon Hill Institute, and a new member of my private mastermind, which meets on Mondays. But we got some new people here. Emmanuel from Concord, New Hampshire. He was a member of my book study, which I discontinued my book study this past Wednesday, and there's a reason for that. It was not in alignment with my definite major purpose. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, because our conversations today are about desire and purpose. So, with that, Michael, I see your hand up. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, welcome to some of the new men wearing pants here. Is that what we call men wearing pants? Can we call them men wearing pants? Men wearing shorts? I don't know. Whatever. I got shorts on.
I got shorts on
Anyway,
too. I'm with you, brother. It's
yeah,
hot in
we're
Florida.
good. So just quick victory. I've been working on sort of bringing a pretty big deal closer and closer into fruition, where I'll be doing my sales is total BS sales training for a whole lot of home services companies, so HVAC and like renovation companies and that type of thing. So big victory is I booked in a call with a guy who's got this incredible automation system for lead generation in that particular space, and he loves my stuff, which was really cool. So he wants to actually just do the project together rather than me hire him. So, good lesson for me is, when we're doing what it is that we do, if we just keep putting it out there, you don't know who's watching, right? You don't know who's paying attention, and you don't know what type of magnetism you're actually drawing to you when, as Frank was putting it earlier, you've got a definite major purpose. Like, you have an idea as to what destination you want to hit and where you want to land. So that could be, we're up here in Canada, so that could be pretty cool for us because he wants to go across the country. And we'll see where that goes. But just a victory in being able to put together what could be a really cool mutually exclusive program.
Yeah, yeah. Michael, congratulations. Nobody deserves it more than you do. I'll tell you guys, when you start focusing on your definite major purpose, when you have focus, what you focus on expands, right? And when you have that focus, all of a sudden it expands into opportunities you weren't even looking for. All of a sudden, somebody saw you doing something somewhere. You had no idea they were watching, and they said, "Hey, you know what? I kind of connect with that guy. I enjoy what he's doing. How can I get involved with that? How can we make this even better?" Right? So when you get involved with the principles, when I'm talking about principles, I'm talking about the 17 Keys to Success by Napoleon Hill. I'm talking about Think and Grow Rich in 10 minutes a day because I don't have time to read the book every single day. So I'll take 10 minutes out of it. Or you can go to the Bible itself, which was published in 1937. These are foundational principles. These are foundational principles. And when you focus on these things, stuff happens, right? A lot of people go through life saying, shit happens. No, dude, when you focus and you study and you focus on the right things, good stuff happens to you. And it doesn't stop happening because you are on the path to success. You've created a success mindset, right? And I think that's really, really important for us. So this week, before I go on, anyone else have a victory they want to share? Michael shared, Luis shared. Yeah, go, Luis, I just saw your hand. Go, brother.
One thing, we keep hosting our 17 Club calls on Monday nights. And last night we didn't have that many people, probably 10, 9, but it was our conversations were really, really, really nice. Just getting better and better. So yeah,
Yeah.
you started something very positive, Frank.
Thank you, Luis, and thank you for taking it the way that I wanted it to go. In fact, I introduced Stefano from Italy. He actually contacted me a couple of weeks ago and said, "Tell me a little bit about this 17 Club men's group." And I shared some ideas with him. He was going to start his own. I said, "Why don't you just be an extension of ours? Bring some of your folks into our study." And Luis created was it Monday nights, right, Luis? So Luis started his on Monday nights. It's Hispanic speaking. So a lot of folks couldn't come to our group on Tuesday morning because they don't speak English very well. So they're focusing where they can focus. And my vision when I started the 17 Club Men's Group was for all of us to expand. This is following Napoleon Hill's example from, I want to say, probably in the mid 60s, where he started a group called the 13 Club. And he and W. Clement Stone at that time were traveling the country teaching these principles primarily to salespeople, insurance salespeople, real estate, that kind of stuff. But his vision was that all throughout the country there would be 13 club memberships. So people all over the country having small meetings together in their own communities, learning about these foundational principles. And of course, back then there were only 13 principles. And now, of course, we've grown to 17. So therefore, the title, the 17 Club Men's Group. So all of this is based on what Napoleon Hill gave birth to after being challenged by Andrew Carnegie. I almost said Dale Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate, probably one of the richest men in the world of his day, who actually shared many of these principles with Napoleon. And Napoleon just put it into a philosophy of achievement called the science of success. Right. So today we wanted to focus our conversation on desire and purpose. So I want to ask the group, you can put your answers in the chat. I'll open up my chat so I can see it and share it with everybody. When I say desire, what comes to mind for you? What point in your life, and if you want to share that point, you can. What point in your life did you suddenly have this flash, this desire that came to mind, and you pursued it, or maybe you didn't pursue it, and what were the consequences, right? So when I say desire, what comes to mind? Just put it in the chat. Michael, synchronicity?
No,
I
that
don't
was
know why.
about the October 1st thing, buddy.
Okay, thank you. I'm sitting here looking at the chat and it's okay. Phil's talking about Scots and wearing kilts, and yeah, Michael's got synchronicity. Okay, all right. I will move on. Okay, who when I say desire, what comes to mind? See, in the teachings of Napoleon Hill, desire is the foundation of achievement. Desire is a thought. Desire, you're out. I'm out on my morning walk this morning, and all of a sudden something pops into my mind, and it has to do with maybe my relationships with my wife or my family. Maybe it has something to do with my business. Maybe it has something to do with my personal health. And you get that flash, that thought. When that happens, it's kind of like a little spark. It's a little flame. And we get to choose to do what with the flame. We can help it grow. We can fan the fire. We can hold that thought, write it down, speak into our iPhone if we're out there walking. Put that thought, that seed, someplace where you can revisit it and give it some thought. One of the things that Napoleon shared in his writings is that one of the biggest challenges that he uncovered with many of his interviews, that men just don't think anymore. And it's becoming more and more of a challenge for us to think because it's so easy for us not to think. We can Google everything. Heck, we can chat GPT anything. We don't have to think. And when we do that, when we choose not to think, we limit our abilities to succeed at our very highest level. Luis, I saw your hand go up. Go ahead, brother.
Well, first of all, when I say desire, I guess when we're younger, our concept of desire is completely different. It's more towards the sexual, the romantic area, like something that you desire, money, right? We don't have that consciousness. But also, when I was thinking about that, and you were keep mentioning on Heal, well, one thing is a desire, and another thing is a burning desire. And I think that's a big difference right there. On I desire more money, but what do you really desire the money? Because you were poor and you don't want your kids or your wife or you're sick and tired of not having money in your upbringing. Are you sick and tired of the freaking of pain or that not worthiness kind of feeling? So what is that burning desire? To me, it's more towards that. Like, yes, because we think who I'm assuming a lot of us, I know for sure myself, I think I want to do this, I want to do this. It will be amazing to have this and all that. But we don't entertain that idea. That's what you were saying. But whatever stays fixed there, and it's an idea, but then how do I turn that idea into something that I really, really want? It's like for me, being a coach, after having all these martial arts years of experience and having schools and all that, all of a sudden I want to help more people with coaching, with life coaching, with these principles. Why? Because I know that there's so many people out there that they can get benefit from this because I did benefit from it. It changed my life for the better. So yeah, I would like to make the distinction on that. That's what it came to my mind. Or is it what is desire and what is a burning desire? That no matter what, I'm gonna make it happen.
I love that. You take that spark. The spark is desire. And then you create that flame, which creates a burning desire. And I'm looking at the chat. I'm seeing things like, see, Michael says, burning desire is just like the sun. It rises again and again and again for you and guides you. Right? Desire it's infinite wisdom sending you a message. Hey, have you thought about this? Hey, look over here. And then we get to choose whether or not we follow that. And too often, we choose not to follow something because we think it's ridiculous. I couldn't possibly accomplish that. Yeah, tell that to Mr. Musk, Elon Musk. Tell that to the first trillionaire ever in history, right? Tell that to him that it wasn't possible. In fact, I believe I caught a little short snippet of what he said, that when he started his company, people thought this was impossible. Impossible. I wonder when he received that spark of desire. And then he fanned the flame into a burning desire. And then he took the next step. And part of my discussion that I wanted to bring to us today was purpose. And before I go into purpose, I noticed that Rob's hand is up, so I want to let Rob jump in. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, thanks, Frank. Yeah, so in my life, there's been times when I've had that burning desire. And what that led to was success that I never imagined possible, victories that I never imagined possible. But what in my life, what caused that burning desire, I mean, clear, laser focused desire to do something that no one thought I would ever be able to do was loss, was either a loss, a breakup, a betrayal, something that caused, I was told by someone, caused a paradigm in my life that gave me this fire, this just I'm gonna do it. There's no doubt about it in my mind, and do it. With the background that I have and growing up, and something that I probably should have never been able to do, I did. And I was around people that did have that type of background to get the thing done that I did, but I did not. But I had a desire. There was no way I was going to stop. And right now in my life where I'm at, I'm definitely not drifting because I have goals and I have aspirations. I have things on the calendar. I have things on the horizon, but trying to bottle that back up without a paradigm coming in and closing that loop and shooting me right in that direction. I'm trying to find that burning desire and just keep it focused, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love it. It makes absolute sense. And it goes right back to what we were talking about before we actually went live with the group, right, Rob? We live in a world of multitasking. We live in a world where you are expected to do multiple things at a very high level all the time. And the truth of the matter is, there's no such thing as excellent multitasking. Multitasking takes your focus away from the most important things in your life. So it's really, really important for us to step back sometimes and say, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing all this stuff. And when I started all this stuff, I was trying to accomplish something. And then you realize over, unfortunately, sometimes a long period of time, that a lot of the stuff you were doing is not giving you what you wanted to do when you started it. And so it's important, just like when you're trying to help shrubs grow, it's important to trim the shrubs. It's important to trim the stuff that's drawing your attention away from your major focus. There's nothing wrong with being focused on a major ambition. Somebody put in the chat about desire. It's my ambition. It's a gut inspiration that I should be going in this direction. So it's okay to stop something when you realize it's no longer serving your purpose. You just have to be clear what your purpose is. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, fascinating part for me about desire is that quite often, as Rob just pointed out, it has its root in pain, right? In loss, in something that has become intolerable. Because I believe it's Tony Robbins, but anyway, somebody says the fact that we don't get what we want, we get what we tolerate. And so if you're tolerant, Frank, of having, the 170-pound body instead of the 150-pound body, that's what you're going to get. Whether you want to work out on a Tuesday and a Thursday and then forget about it the other 2 days or not, the fact is it's a tolerable position for you. And until it becomes a deeply painful element, chances are we're not necessarily going to change it. And so one of the things that I know I do personally in life is I give myself stakes. I'll give myself, real stakes. What happens if I don't accomplish this? What happens if I don't get this done within the time frame? And those stakes are painful, right? It's like moving through the maze of rose bushes, and it's like, man, if you lean too far left or you lean too far right, you are going to get scratched, right? You're going to get chewed up. So I think quite often we want to think about the rose-colored glasses elements of focus, but the daily element that requires the desire to come into fruition is I have intolerables, right? I have pain points that I won't let happen. And I think it's a part of the personal growth industry that we forget about, that if you don't have consequences, there's a very good chance that you're gonna stay exactly where you are. And you weren't happy with that yesterday. So what type of consequences can we put into your life to make sure that you become the person you want to be tomorrow?
Yeah, I love it. And I love it. How much are you willing to tolerate? And we all see this every single day, right? People who tolerated being 5 pounds heavier than they were.
That's right.
And then that turns into 20 pounds heavier than they want to be. And that turns into obesity because now it's gotten out of control, or so they think,
Yeah.
right? Now they think it's gotten out of control. Oh, what's the use? This is just going to be too much work.
Yeah.
And I use that as an example because it's a prevalent example in our society. It's okay to be my age, 70 years old, and be 100 pounds overweight. No, it's not. It's not okay. It's only okay if you accept it. And unfortunately, some people accept it because they feel helpless, which is part of the reason that I started this group with my fellow coaches. Is, hey guys, we're men. We are supposed to be leaders. We're supposed to be setting the example. I'm a retired Marine. I know what that's about. Lead by example. Do what you got to do. And don't let the people who are most important to you accept less than what is best for them. Challenge them. That's why we're in this room. Challenge each other. Michael challenged me in a very, very challenging conversation for me last Friday. He challenged me. No, he didn't. He encouraged me in the way that he challenged me, right? So it's okay. It's okay to do that. It's okay to step up. And yes, people are going to think you're crazy, right? Zachary, I see your hand up. Go for it, brother.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with like the structure of this call. Is it all right if I just ask it's kind of related, but it's a question?
Everything's okay. Go for it.
Okay. So I have a dilemma because I have a close friend of mine who I do like him very much, but I have some group chats and stuff that I'm in with him. But he is just a real negative Nelly. Like this guy, I listen to his audio messages, is always so negative, and it rubs off on me a little bit. And I'm not sure like how to approach that because I just feel like it puts me in a bad headspace. It's definitely not what I'm trying to attract. Although, like, there are some like he's not like necessarily just like lying, but he's just always focusing on the negative aspects of everything, whether it's dating or politics or whatever. So I don't really know how to approach that. I don't know if you guys have some experience with something like that, or you'd like to share a good way to approach somebody like that. Because I'm like, well, I don't want to just like block the guy out. I mean, I'm not totally opposed to doing that either, honestly, because it's like you don't have anything good to say. I don't want to be around you, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Great question, Zachary, and thank you so much for stepping up in your first meeting and asking a great question. Anybody want to share or give some response for Zachary? I don't want everything to come from me. Somebody please jump in. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for bringing that up. It hits home with me. I got a friend, I call him a good friend, but I have to gauge how much I interact with them. Very negative, almost dangerously negative, um, especially for himself. But I'm not the kind of person that's going to cut him loose. I'm not the kind of person that's going to say, "You're not my friend anymore." I just, I put him at an arm's distance, if that makes sense. I'm still his friend. I will still listen. I will still be there. I will still be a good listener. But as far as submerging myself with him in the world that he's in, that he probably will never come out of, I I stay on top of I stay on the deck of the pool. I don't jump in the middle with him with the weight belt on, if that makes sense. So I just manage that in a way where I'm still his friend, but at a safe distance.
Yeah, I love that, Rob. Zach, you have any questions for Rob?
Um, no, that's yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
That's kind of where I'm at too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I've got a golfing buddy of mine. I just recently moved to the Villages, Florida, which is Disneyland for senior citizens. But we play golf, 2 or 3 times a week. And this one guy is like, as you mentioned, Zachary, negative Nelly. Ever since I've met him from day one, he's got this problem, he's got that problem. He's on some medication for something he's dealing with his bladder, I think. And the doctor told him when he gave him the medication, he said, "Hey, look, when you start taking this medication, you're probably going to have a drop in your testosterone, so your golf game may not be as long as it has been." And so from day one, the day he got the medication, the first day he had to go back a club or add a club for his distance. And I said, "Why are you doing that?" "Oh, because my testosterone's low." No, dude, somebody planted that in your mind. Somebody planted that in your mind and you immediately accepted it. Now, that's an example, but here's what you deal with every single day with people. Listen to how many thought impressions do we get every single day from social media, from conversations with people, from television, from radio, from whatever you're listening to. This group, we're all getting all these thought impressions. And we get to choose. Now, Napoleon taught us in his writings, we get to choose to accept it or reflect it or deflect it, accept it or deflect it. And well, let me tell you, I've known this guy, my buddy Bob, as I'll call him Bob, my buddy Bob. We golf together 2 or 3 times a week, and we've only known each other for 11 months. But here's how he knows me. "Oh, yeah, that's right. You're the positive thinking guy." Yeah, I am. Right? And I don't change that. I don't tell him what to do, but I'll drop little hints. "Really, Bob? You think the pill had that effect in 24 hours? I'm not really sure. Are you just accepting that?" And I'm speaking from experience, from my bout with cancer. I was told that I wouldn't be able to do any of the things that I was doing the day I was diagnosed. And I did everything I was doing for the entire 8 weeks that I was in radiation. I didn't accept it. It wasn't acceptable to me. So one of the things that we can look at is, who are you as a person? Who do you want to be as a person? And follow that guide. And there's plenty, just like there's plenty of thought impressions out there that are negative, there are plenty of thought impressions out there that are positive that we can feed our brain every single day and then share that. It's our responsibility to share that with the people around us. Because if we don't, then we're letting them down. Right? So I highly believe, yes, we should still be their friend. And if they stick around with all of your positivity, they will become your friend and you will change their thought process just by virtue of being there. Right? Phil, go for it, brother.
Yeah, that's also great insights too, Rob and Frank. The idea that, when we go through adversity, is always seeds of something equivalent greater on the opposite side. And one great thing that I've done when finding someone who might have a different point of view, a different perspective on things, is to simply ask questions. Is that, help me understand your position. It can play out. A lot of people I know that they're perceived to be radical right or radical left, and they're not radical right, they're not radical left. Yet we're just asking a question about, explain to me your thought process of how this is important and whatever that is. Um, we had this other guy who always everything was negative. We called him Lou Holtz because he always get angry and everything like that. So we would say, "Hey, Big Lou," right? And then change the subject to, what is this guy like? This guy Lou that I'm talking about, he loved photography of tugboats and trains. And so get him talking about something that he's pleasant about, right? And that way it takes the edge off of the conversation. And when all else doesn't seem to transform, you can always say, that's interesting. And if you can't change the subject, limit the amount of time with people who are going to be negative. If they're trying to control us, that's a different thing. And like Viktor Frankl writes in his book, between a stimulus and response, it's this little space. And in that space, we have the ability to choose our thoughts. And the thoughts that we choose determine our freedom and our power. Really, it's ourselves. So we can choose to learn a new perspective that we didn't have. So there's something that's good that comes from that. Like Clement Stone would say, what's good in the opposite of what we want, but be focused only on what we want. And that's why a group like this, be in harmony with guys, will support you. So you can't share everything with everybody, especially the negative Nellies, but we can share it with people who have you back, and that's what we're here for. So finding ways to say it's interesting, change the subject when that comes up, and ask questions. Explain to me, go 7 levels deep with those things that they're really adamant about. Is it really true? How is this going to affect me? How is it really going to affect you? Is it going to affect somebody else, or is it all speculation? And just following natural questioning that can help to minimize what they're trying to do.
Yeah, Phil, I love that comment. That you ask questions. If somebody says something negative, oh, interesting. Why do you feel that way? Just, let them run out of gas by themselves. Because as they start to explain why they feel that way, they realize it makes no sense to feel that way. Right. And I made a comment earlier in the call today, what we focus on expands. And if we continue to focus on the negative aspects of everything has a negative aspect, by the way, everything. If we focus on that, we'll never accomplish anything. Right? Thoughts are things. And we have to choose the proper thoughts, the proper version of the thoughts in order to accomplish the things we want to accomplish. Go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, well, what you said is just the law, right? For anything to be good, it needs to be an opposite of it, right? And negative. So, Zach, that's wonderful. I would say also we need to understand the psychological part of the other person. When you and I get pissed off or we get negative, we get one thing that our brain craves, which is certainty. We need to know what's going to happen. When you're pissed off, you know you're going to be mad. Your brain knows that you're going to be there in a certain mental state for a minute or 3 hours. It's on the programming of the person. So that person is being programmed for so many years, probably, to have certainty. And that's the only way they're getting it, through the negative. So I'm just bringing that up so you can see when you're talking to these people, because what they said is exactly right. Number one, you need to, if that person is good enough in your life, you care about them, to try to help them, right? Number two, don't take it personal, right? The 4 agreements, don't take it personal and don't let it rub on you. Ask questions, but also understand where they're coming from. Because if they have been surrounded by negativity, or that's what they're giving them, like in our case, probably from both, for all of us, we get certainty through faith because we know it's going to be all right. We're just expecting certain outcome. He's expecting certain outcome. So just going to leave it like that, because sometimes it's easier when you know where they're coming from to get them out of there faster if we really care about them. That's all I got.
Yeah, love it, Luis. Thank you for the share. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Hey, Emmanuel. Whoops. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Zach.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I actually I like that a lot, and I think that's what it is, because the main thing with him, I'll just elaborate a little bit, is and it can be a lot of stuff, but I do think it's the certainty, because it's a lot of negativity about women and dating. And I'm in my 20s, he's in his 20s, so it's kind of a big issue for us, right? As younger guys, not married, don't have any kids or any of that. But yeah, I think he's been spurned by women a lot, and I think that's kind of like he has this like hatred, this vendetta towards women, which I don't agree with. And feminism and all this sort of thing have made some women very toxic and whatever, you know what I mean? Women are, can be pretty promiscuous nowadays. A lot of young women I've met. So there is like some truth in that, where I'm like, yeah, I understand why you're bitter about that. But if I just question him about it, right, he's just going to go on and on and on. And I don't want to hear it, because there's, it's like who wants to focus on, all the bad women in the world? I don't care about them. I don't want to think about them, But I think it's that certainty thing that like you said, where he just, he probably feels very unsure about his situation. So if he's certain that he can be mad about it, he's not certain that he can love a woman, but he's certain he can hate a woman. Is that what it is? I think so. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Or he got hurt too, Zach. He might got hurt. He might got
yeah.
hurt.
Yeah.
Like he's
Probably.
like, all right.
Yeah, it's boy, they can go in so many different directions. You know, but also the truth is, you know, again, that statement we focus on expands. If all we focus on is the negative aspects, the toxic aspect of that situation with women, then guess what you're going to attract to yourself? That's all you're going to see. That's all you're ever going to see. You know, and we can't change that in the other person. The other person has to be ready for change, right? And so I don't know, maybe if I'm in that situation, I might be trying to bring up someone who's the complete opposite of what he sees and say, well, did you see this one? Because she seems a little bit different, right? And look at there may be less of those, but they're there nonetheless, right? They're there nonetheless, and they're looking for. You know, there was a time, Zach, before you were born, that women thought we were toxic,
Mm.
right? You know, so it's come full circle, guys. Sorry, you know, it's come full circle. But you know, the thought that just popped in my mind is we're not responsible to change the other person. In fact, we can't change the other person. We cannot change the other person. All we can do is share a different perspective. And perhaps if we share that different perspective in a way that it's acceptable, then they may reconsider their perception. And I have no idea where that just came from, but just as I was just talking, boom, that's what popped out. We can't change it. Let's talk to somebody who changes people all the time. Emmanuel, you got your hand up. Go, brother.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Emmanuel Manawiru, and I'm happy to join this discussion today. I've been invited by Frank, and I was willing to join, but the conflict with my schedule this time was not allowing me. But hopefully, moving forward, when I get time, I can always join this important discussion. So, yeah, based on what everyone has just talked about, the negativity and positivity of life, based on my experience with different cultures, especially Africa, where people have been exposed to different kind of traumatic experience, maybe with the civil conflict, and it's someone who works in the field of mental health and also have a background of conflict resolution. I've seen that those kind of experiences always tend to put people into the situation of having a negative mindset on everything which they and their interpretation of the world view and reality. But it takes really, and that's where I think this having exposure to self-help material, personal development, it helps one to shift the perspective, to have a positive attitude to life. And even that's where you find even those, even faith-based institutions also help people to keep a kind of positive mindset about life. Otherwise, when we look even at the news, it always brings a lot of kind of negative stuff, and that always keeps on adding to the trauma people have, the challenging experiences people have. It can be economic, it can be social, and so on. So really, this kind of groups and clubs and the resources really is the only way it can help people to maintain positivity in life.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Emmanuel. You know, as you were saying that, I'm envisioning, you know, the daily news. You know, I don't watch a lot of news, but I do watch the world news. Watch world news for 30 minutes. And in that world news session of 30 minutes, cut out the commercials. Maybe you get 20 minutes of airtime. And then 95% of that time is all the negativity, all the bad things that are going on in the world. And at the very end, they throw in this one little story about one person that maybe did something good or experienced something good. What if we flipped that? What if we had 95% of the good stuff and only at the very end share a little piece of negativity we need to pay attention to? Right? That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about focusing on positive stuff. We're talking about focus on the important stuff, not all the negative bullshit that's out there. Right? Michael, I see your hand up, buddy. Go.
Yeah, but Frank, the news isn't in the business of the news. The news is in the business of selling media spots.
Understood. Just an observation, guys.
They need attention more than they need anything else. Just so we're clear, I love Alex's cup of soup thing going on right now. I'm just watching Alex take his, I'm sure it's tea or something like that, Alex, that you're sipping into the spoon. And everybody remember the cup of soup commercials or anything like that? Yeah. I just see him slurp oh man, I was killing myself laughing at Alex.
I love it.
Um, what a fascinating conversation because there's so many cool things that have popped out of here. So Zach, I want to say thank you for such a great question, buddy. Um, and if I can ask you one more, why do you give a damn what this guy's like?
Um, I think it challenges me because I'm not somebody, I don't want to not know about the bad things in the world. Because it's like, but I want solutions. And I think the reason that it gets to me and why I do give a damn is because I'm like, well, I don't know what the solution is to that. And you keep bringing it into my awareness and it's making me feel helpless because you're bringing these things up, you know? And that's kind of how my train of thought right now, how I feel about it.
Okay, so one of the things that, and I love this analogy. So let's say Alex and I've got my cup of coffee. Alex has his cup of tea, right? And one of the things we want to be really careful of, you guys, and what Zach just sort of revealed. So thank you for answering the question, Zach. Is that when the cup of coffee and the cup of tea smash into each other, right, or bump into each other, we'll bump, Alex. We won't smash because we don't want any broken stuff, right? We'll bump, right? There's a very good chance that my coffee and his tea start to mix. And so one of the things is that Zach, what you're saying reveals is that you're letting him in, right? Whatever's going on inside him is having permission to come inside your mind. Would you agree with me there? Right? Like that his negativity is leaking into your boat, as it were.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So one of the and that's going to happen, guys, because as Lewis put it, right? You have to create an environment for somebody to change. So, right, they're entering your environment. You're giving them permission to come into your environment. They're giving you permission to go into their environment. And so one of the things I found is if you ever want to figure out how to help somebody adjust a belief, you have to find out whether it's pinned in one of like the four main sort of objection parts of a belief. They're either indifferent, they don't believe it, they don't care about it, they're confused, or they just don't want to do it. Right? So it's like the I don't care, I don't understand this, I don't believe in this, or I just can't do this. And until you figure out, Zach, through questions, which was brought up a number of times, asking the right questions, right? Until you figure out sort of what the real belief pin for him is, right? So if you were to ask him, like, dude, why do you hate women? Do you think he would give you an answer of, I don't care, I don't understand them, I just don't want to be, I can't be with them right now, or I don't believe women will ever be nice to me, or ever be great, or something along those lines, or I don't believe I could ever find a great woman? Which one do you think he'd answer? Which one of those four?
Yeah, I would say he'd probably say something like they're inherently flawed. They're
They're
inherently flawed.
inherently flawed. Oof.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the dude's smart.
Yeah.
Nobody uses the word inherently and flawed in the same sentence unless they're smart. Unless that's just Zach. Is that Zach using that?
Yeah, it's just me. He's not smart. No, no, he's all right.
So Zach's the smart one in this equation.
Sure.
All right. So they're inherently flawed, right? So that would mean that he either doesn't understand them or he doesn't believe in them. So we've narrowed it from I don't care about them and I don't want to be with them to one of the other two options. Then your next question, right? So you think they're inherently flawed. So you think that all women across the entire world are what, demonic and horned creatures? Like they're all flawed, nasty pieces of business, right? Every single one of them. And you ask him that question, what would he say?
Well, I mean, he would of course realize that it's an exaggeration or whatever, but I really do think he thinks that to some degree, yeah.
Right. So then he disbelieves. Then he doesn't believe them. He doesn't believe that there could be a great woman.
Yes. Yeah, that definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So fundamentally, with a couple of quick questions, you go from whether he's indifferent, disbelieving them, confused, or thinks they're just an obstacle to get what he wants. Right? Awesome. He doesn't believe there's great women on the planet left. Now, once you know that, if you care about this guy, because clearly there's some sort of bond, right? Then over the course of time, you can create an environment where you can attack that belief, break that belief down with stories, conversations, everything else, because you're never going to change it in one conversation. What you can find in one conversation is the reason why the venom exists.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Michael, that what you just said is like a mic drop, right? We're never
Mike,
gonna
drop.
mic drop. We can never figure out what the heck's going on in one conversation, right?
Well, you
But
can't
multiple,
solve it, Frank. I think often you
right?
can
Yeah,
figure
you
out what the
definitely
problem
can't
is,
solve
but you
it.
can't solve it.
Exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. Thank you for the correction. Yeah, we can identify what it might be, but we can't solve it for sure. And so, if the person is meaningful to you, which apparently is accurate in this case, it seems like you guys are friends. And I think friends should be friends regardless of situations, regardless of political differences, regardless of all the differences that we all have. We should still be able to be friends and have conversations. And if you're good enough friends, and frankly, if we have more than two or three of those in our lives, we're very, very lucky. But if we have good enough friends, we can talk about anything with no judgment, right? And sometimes those manly conversations evolve into solutions without even trying. They evolve into solutions. When we try too hard, it's obvious, right? I don't have all the answers. I'm a freaking certified coach. Whoopie do. I don't have all the answers. None of us have all the answers. Matter of fact, all of us have the answers, but they need to be drawn out by the other people in the conversation. And so what I would suggest is continue to have conversations. And Zach, we're not focusing on you, but thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. Part of the new structure to this meeting was supposed to have a hot seat opportunity. So one person in the group stands up and says, "Hey, I got this," and we just surround it and go after it. And Zach did it without me even bringing it into the room. I love it, man. I'm so glad you came here today. I appreciate you. Luis, I saw your hand up for a few
Yeah,
minutes there. Go
no,
ahead.
no, Mike, dropping Mike. It's brought it up to a good, great landing.
Everybody wants to drop Mike this morning. Okay, we're good. Here's an observation I got, and we're coming up on the top of the hour, and I just want to share this observation. So in this room today, we range in age, best that I can tell, from 20s to 70s. That's a pretty good range of experience in the room. We come from Canada, the US, Italy, Mexico. In the US, from Colorado, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. I mean,
Hey, where's Texas?
oh yeah, West Texas. Yeah, I forgot about Texas.
Oh, I
Sorry,
forgot.
sorry.
We're our own
How can
country.
I forget Texas, the biggest?
Because we're our own country.
Yeah, everything's big in Texas. Exactly. We're our own country. I love it. But just think about the perspective of that, guys. The cultures, not to mention that the guy from New Hampshire is also from the Congo, right? We are an international group of men coming together to have a conversation for an hour a week about foundational principles that not only will impact our lives, but could impact the lives around us. I want to share with you guys a law. Many years ago, when I first started in sales, I read a book called How to Sell Anything to Anyone. Anybody heard of that book? So it was written by a used car salesman. The guy's name was Joe Girard, and he was in the Guinness Book of World Records for selling the most cars belly to belly, nose to nose, toes to toes. This guy, it wasn't selling fleet sales. He was selling one person at a time. The number one car salesman in the Guinness Book of World Records for, I believe it was 12 years running. In one chapter in the book, talks about the law of 250. And the law of 250 simply says that we all know someone well enough. We have a circle of 250 people. There goes my thumbs up. I have no idea why that happens on my screen. We all know roughly 250 people in our lives, in our sphere, well enough that we would share really good news with them. We would share really bad news with them. We would invite them to our wedding. We'd invite them to our funeral, or somebody would invite them to our funeral for us, right? So roughly 250 people. And it was about 10 years ago when I first moved to Florida. I was working with a real estate company, and the guy asked me a question. The broker asked me a question. He said, do you think you could teach our agents how to, work strictly by referral and working with their sphere? And I started giving this some thought. And of course, social media is a big thing. And so I went to social media and I asked a question on Facebook. What's the average amount of friends on Facebook that most people have? And the number came up ironically close. It was like 375 or 350 or something like that. I said, okay, so that law is probably still true. But here's why it's impactful to me, and I hope it'll be impactful to you. Every one of us has the ability to impact the lives in some way, shape, or form of over 250 people with the lessons we learn, the things that we teach, how we talk, how we act, the examples we set. When we started the call, Michael shared a victory. And his victory, he said, this opportunity came from someplace he didn't even know he was being watched. There was no idea that there was any observation going on, but somebody saw something and now it is something much bigger. So, don't walk away from our group meeting today with an education that you do nothing with. One of the things, many of us in the room, if we're in this room, we have probably been in other rooms, study groups, where we get inspired. And the inspiration goes away about 30 minutes after the inspiration arrived. I didn't start this group. Matter of fact, I didn't start this group alone. Luis Jimenez is a fellow Napoleon Hill coach with me. Phil Conway, Leroy Kaufman, who's driving a big rig across the country right now. We came together in a private mastermind and said our mission is to help young men. Then we changed that to help men, period, to be better men, to serve at a higher level, to stand up, to put their pants on and stop being afraid of taking a leadership position. And today we had a great conversation organically. When I start these things, I never know what's going to happen. Whoever's leading the group, it starts and we don't know where the conversation is going to go. So when Zachary came in and said, I don't know about the structure. Well, yeah, there is no structure, Zachary. We just fly with it. We just fly with it wherever it goes. But the hope is, at least my hope is that we walk away inspired enough to take action. And so when we talk about desire, we didn't talk a lot about purpose. We'll probably have to carry that conversation into next week. But when we talk about desire, before we can do anything with that desire, we have to take action. The action might be fanning the fire of that desire. Let's see if it's real. Let's see what we can do with it. Identifying a specific purpose. What are we going to aim for? And then take action. And as Napoleon Hill says, he says, take action immediately. Don't wait for the plan to be perfect. Just take action and move forward. So if you got anything from today, please take action. We have a few minutes for some final thoughts. Anybody have a takeaway? Anybody have a takeaway from today's session? Something that really stuck that you think you can implement over the next week? Go for it. I'll shut up, I promise. Rob.
Still echo what you just said, Frank. It's not just this hour that we have. This hour is precious and it's powerful and it's good medicine for all. But it's it's after this hour. It's what I said a while back, that intentional implementation of what we're learning here and what we have, what we're gaining here. The energy, the positivity, the strength, the experience, the lessons, the instructions. It's something that you just take with you and keep and replay. That muscle memory in your mind so that you can have that positive mental attitude, not only during this hour, but after this hour into the evening and the next day. So just to echo what you said, Frank.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I appreciate that. And speaking about replays, so those of you who have been in the room, in less than 24 hours, you're going to get a replay of this video so that you can reference it and go back. And, when we're sitting here talking, we're talking and we're not listening, so sometimes we miss stuff. Sometimes we're taking notes and we miss stuff, so the replay is shared with you intentionally to provide you an opportunity to go back and listen. And I know you are because I can see the views on YouTube. But the other thing I'd like to share with you guys is we've got people that are not in this room today who were in this room a month ago. And if you invited those people, invite them back. You know, my fear is that sometimes giving out the replay every week gives people an excuse not to have to show up. And one of the most important things of this type of group is, in fact, showing up. Because when you show up, you're part of the conversation. When you're simply watching the replay, you're being entertained. Maybe you're getting some reminders of what we talked about, but you weren't there. You know, so if at all possible, and I know life happens, but if at all possible, if you can show up, please show up. I was asked by two different people this past week, can we change the time? You know, my challenge is, yes, I can change the time, but then who else is not going to ask? Not going to be happy, not going to be able to make it because of the time, right? I'm always open to conversations. Is there a time where we could meet where everybody could show up? I doubt that seriously, considering the time zones that we spread. So we do the best we can with what we got. But I just invite you to always come back, watch the replay, watch it intentionally, but please come back for the live session because this is what that's all about. All right. Luis, I saw your hand up. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. No, I think we use the videos and the replays. It can be something really good. We just need to direct people. Hey, you missed this one. Go and check it out, and don't forget if you show up. Look what happened today with Zachary's question. That's when the real thing happens. And of course, on the other side, though, there's for some people it takes a long time to warm up and open up and do different things. We started with, I don't know, almost 20 people in the Spanish class. Last night we had like 9 or 10.
Yep.
And but we have the regulars and they're coming back and we're inviting. But I would strongly suggest every single one of us to go to Frank's channel, like it, leave a comment, because those conversations, one day they will reach a guy in Asia or in Europe or in Africa or somewhere, and it's going to change their lives. So the more we spread it out, that algorithm is going to start going out. So I strongly suggest all of us to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Luis. And last but not least, before we wrap it up, if you know someone who could use an opportunity like this, even if they just want to come on for the first time and not turn the camera on, so that they can get comfortable with what's happening. This is a free judgment zone. There's no judgment in here. And so if you know somebody who could benefit from what we do in this room, please invite them. All they have to do, I'll send everybody a link. All they have to do is register so I can have their email. I'll include them in the invite and we go from there. All right. You know, or just send me an email. Let me know their name and their email address and I'll send it out. But thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate you. Phil Conway says we can all invite 250 people. I love that. I also love Michael's comment about aimed at Rob and I. But Rob and I are both military guys, both retired military. And Michael says, leave no man behind. Yeah, that's one of the things that us military guys believe in. We don't leave anybody behind. And that's our job. We are men, and we should stand up and be men. I want to leave you with this affirmation. I have purpose. I have a mission. I choose growth over comfort. I choose action over excuses. I choose persistence over defeat. I will serve, lead, and succeed. I will persist until I succeed. I'll post that when I send you the replay. I will put that in the replay email. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much, Zachary. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for your great question. I'll see you guys all later. Have a wonderful week. Talk to you soon.